Welcome back. The number of condo sales this March is at least an 8-year low for the month of March. This is absolutely remarkable given the fact there's more condos for sale in Florida for any month since April of 2019. So basically a 5-year high regarding inventory levels of condos in Florida. On top of that, inventory has absolutely skyrocketed over the past 2 years, increasing a whopping 269%. I have some big news to share in today's video. Obviously, some staggering news regarding the Florida condo market, which is a new update because I made a video regarding the condo market about 1 month ago. So I have a lot to share in today's video. By the way, a lot of research went into making today's video because I'm going to share how the trends we're seeing this March, the latest news we have from the Florida Realtors Association, how that compares to years past, going back to the year of 2016. So if you guys get any value out of today's video, I ask you to please subscribe. And of course, if you guys get any value out of today's video, then please hit the like button. All right, let's first talk about closed home sales. And again, this is a report from the Florida Realtors Association. So closed home sales were at 9,332. That's down by 16.6% compared to March of 2023. And as a note right there, this is at least an 8-year low for a March. That's also about 1,000 fewer condo and townhouse sales in Florida compared to March of 2019, and around 2,000 fewer compared to March of 2017 and 18. Also, this decrease of 16.6% on a year-over-year basis is the biggest yearly decrease since April last year. And again, this is remarkable given that there's approximately 80% more condos and townhomes for sale this March in Florida compared to just 1 year ago. In regards to all those closed home sales, around 5,000 were cash buyers. That was down 17% year over year, the biggest year-over-year decrease since May 2023. So in regards to the share of cash sales, that's at 54% this March. So around 5 out of every 10 condo closed home sale in March came from a cash buyer. That is virtually flat from 12 months ago. Something I found to be really interesting when looking at this chart below here, going back to 2020, is that the share of cash sales were at very low levels in 2020, as well as 2021 when we had 3% rates, right? So why would you buy a condo and a townhouse with using cash when you can buy one with a 3% rate? Now rates are around 7.5%. So it makes sense that the share of cash sales is much higher right now compared to 2020 and 21, when the average 30-year fixed rate was around 3%. So for example, back in the spring and summer months of 2020, the share was only around 40%. Now it's at 54%. All right, let's change gears slightly here and talk about the median sold price for condos and townhomes in Florida. That increased by 3.1% year over year. It's at $330,000. 1 year ago, we saw a gain of 3.9%. This is still up on a year-over-year basis, but the growth rate has been slowing down or decelerating. So you can see that right here, ever since really November, we saw big increases up by 7.5%, but the growth rate has been decreasing more or less ever since then. Now, something you guys should be aware of is that even though we are seeing this deceleration of home prices, overall, the growth rate ever since March of 2019 has been remarkable, to say the least. Let's just say that. Back then, the median sold price for condos in Florida was at $189,500. This means over the past 5 years, prices have gained by about 74%. Big picture for home buyers in Florida, there's more options to choose from because there's more houses for sale, and that improves housing affordability. Yet the run-up in prices over the past several years is quite remarkable, to say the least. All right, let's change gears slightly here and talk about the median percent of original list price received. This is usually the last measure of an indication about which direction we're headed, because this is very much a lagging indication. Any metric, by the way, that has to do with a closed home sale, this could be this ratio here, days in the market, or the median sold price, are all lagging indications what the housing market was like approximately 1 to 2 months ago when the home buyer got their offer accepted. So in any case, this measure here for March is at 95%. This means that on average, for people that sold their condo or townhome, they sold it for 5% below their original asking price. That is slightly below last year's levels at 96.1%, which means back then they sold their houses for 4% below asking. Also, I look back at their report from a few years ago. As a reference, it was at 95% in March of 2019 and was around 95% for much of 2016 through 2019. So in other words, the ratio at 95% is on par with historical norms. Let's also take a look at days in the market. This is a time frame when you list your home for sale until you accept an offer from home buyer. The contract is being signed between the buyer and seller. That's at 43 days right now. That's a giant increase of 48%. I mean giant because 1 year ago, it increased a whopping 163.6%. So even though it increased that much over the past 1 year ago, it increased further up by 48%. Even though days on the market has been increasing rapidly, it's still about 6 days faster compared to the same time frame in 2019. So condos and townhomes selling faster compared to pre-COVID levels. Also, just for fun, look at March of 2022. That was at around 10 days to sell a house. Now it's at 43 days. So over the past 4 years, or 2 years, I should say, days in the market has quadrupled. This means, of course, that houses are taking about 4 times longer to sell this March compared to March of 2022. All right, let's have a look at new pending home sales, new listings, and house inventory. Some very, very big changes in Florida. I just was blown away by these stats. Anyways, looking at new pending home sale, this is a number of listed properties that went under contract with a home buyer during the month. So this March, it decreased, by 12.6% on a year-over-year basis. New listings have been increasing each month so far this year, which is seasonal, but still down year-over-year for 5 consecutive months. And that's this right here. It has been decreasing ever since November of 2023. On top of that, that 12.6% year-over-year decline is the biggest year-over-year decrease since April of 2023. It's also down about 20% from March of 2019. At that time, according to the Florida Realtors, that was around 13,000 pending home sales. Now it's at just under 11,000. We also had nearly 20,000 new pending home sales back in March of 2021, which of course, 2020 through 2022 was completely abnormal years. That's why I'm going to be sharing a lot of pre-COVID levels or numbers in today's video. All right, let's also discuss the measure of new listings as well, because that increased by 11% on a year-over-year basis, which is not as high compared to what we saw back in January and February. In January, it surged by 31.4%. Then in February, it increased by 30.3%. So still increasing by double digits, but not the huge gains we saw to start the year. Something I also found to be really interesting as well, looking at March of 2019, obviously pre-pandemic era, we had around 15,000 new listings. Now we have 16,176. So the number of new listings, even though it's not as high as the gains on a year-over-year basis in January and February, is still higher compared to pre-COVID levels. All right, now speaking of that, let's talk about inventory levels, or the amount of condos and townhomes for sale. And this is getting really spicy, by the way. March, 57,188 for sale by the end of March this year. That was the highest amount for any month since April of 2019. So there is a 5-year high regarding inventory levels for condos in Florida this March. In addition, when comparing levels we saw back in September last year, inventory has skyrocketed by 57% as well. It also has increased by about 78% year over year, which again is quite remarkable given the fact that in March, it increased by 108%. What also found to be absolutely wild as well, looking at March of 2022, just 2 years ago, we had around 15,500 for sale. Now there's 57,000. So inventory has surged by 269% over the past 2 years alone. Now, just taking a step back, everyone knows that back in early 2022 in Florida and across most areas across the United States, we have record low inventory levels. So of course, it makes sense we saw a huge increase, but a gain of 269% is absolutely eye-opening. And on top of that, at 57,188, the highest levels since April of 2019 for any month is staggering to say the least. Let's also discuss the month supply. The month supply in Florida at 6.6 months. That's a giant increase of 94% on top of the 183% we saw a year ago. That is also higher compared to pre-pandemic levels. In March of 2019, the month supply was at 6.3 months. Now it's at 6.6 months. Additionally, the month supply is showing no signs of slowing down. It has been on the rise ever since last fall. As you can see in this graphic right here, it has been surging ever since August last year and showing no signs of slowing down. Also, the month supply of inventory is at least an 8-year high as well for data that goes back to 2016. So at 6.6 months, here is a report from March of 2020. Back then, the month supply was in the range of 6.3 to about 5.3 months. And going back to 2016, the month supply was also in that range as well, around 6 months. But at 6.6 months, the highest levels since at least 2016. This is something I also found to be really interesting as well. Here's the measure of closed home sales by price segment. So for every single price segment here, which is right here, every single one of these is down on a year-over-year basis. So we're not just seeing, a few price segments like the luxury market or more affordable housing causing the metrics to be distorted a little bit. Every single price segment here has decreased by at least 10% year over year. However, though, we did see a significant increase in the number of $1 million plus condo sales in Florida. This March at 684. Back in March of 2019, it was at 371. The Florida Realtors also broke down the number of property listings that are for sale by the end of the month this March. So each of these price segments had experienced big increases in the amount of houses for sale, except for condos less than $50,000. That's down by 7.1%, but over 100% gains in the range of $200,000 to $300,000. So again, we're not just experiencing big increases of luxury home properties for sale. We're seeing big increases across all price segments. Let's also talk about distressed home sales, which are foreclosures and short sales. So there was 9,278 traditional sales, in other words, not a distressed home sale this March, but only 46 were foreclosures or real estate owned properties, and only 8 were short sales. This means that less than 1% of all closed home sales in Florida for March were a distressed home sale, which of course means that 99% were a traditional normal sale. Something I found to be interesting though, looking at this metric back in March of 2020, even though the levels of distressed home sales, virtually non-existent right now, the levels right now are still way below March of 2020. So foreclosures and REOs back in March of 2020, 143, now there's only 46. There's 8 short sales this March compared to 31 back in March of 2020. So you may be asking yourself, why is there this big increase in the amount of condos and townhomes for sale in Florida? I mean, absolutely crazy to see a giant increase over the past several years. So I found this article from Redfin posted on April 17th. It says 70% of Florida homeowners have seen a rise in insurance costs or changes in their coverage based on a survey. Also, this is also according to Redfin. It says, this is from a Redfin agent based in Orlando. Condo costs are shocking. Condos that used to have a $400 monthly maintenance fee now have a $700 per month fee. It's causing buyers to rethink their plans. Florida's HOA fees are increasing because there are new condo regulations in place this year in the wake of the 2021 Surfside condo collapse. These regulations require HOAs to regularly assess the safety of condo buildings and, in many cases, collect more money for maintenance and repairs. In addition to that, home insurance costs are skyrocketing in Florida due to the increasing intensity of hurricanes and other natural disasters. Speaking of that, here is an article I found on policygenius.com. It says home insurance prices are up roughly 35% from 2 years ago on a national level. However, between May of 2021 through May of 2023, they found that insurance premiums increased a whopping 68% on average in Florida, which led the nation by far. After that was New Mexico at 47% increase. Also, according to another article I found from policygenius.com, and by the way, I'll provide a link to my sources in my video, just like I do for all my videos. The average cost of homeowners insurance in Florida is $191 per month, or around $2,288 per year for a $300,000 dwelling coverage. That's around 30% higher than the national average. To make matters worse, not only is insurance costs and maintenance fees increasing as well, but certain insurance companies are also just bailing out of the market altogether. So Farmers Insurance is no longer selling new policies as of July last year. AAA not renewing some policies in high-risk areas. AIG no longer selling or renewing policy as of March of 2022. And Progressive is no longer selling new policies as of April of 2022. So I'd love to hear from you guys, especially if you live in Florida. If you have boots on the ground to share your thoughts regarding what's happening there, we would love to hear from you guys. So please leave me a comment below. Also, if you guys got any value out of today's video, this video took me hours to make, then please hit the like button. Also, consider subscribing as well. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.